All right, Matt, it is an honor to have you on. We have a special guest, Matt Tiby, on the show today. Former Urbandale, Iowa native, played JUCO basketball at Kirkwood Community College before transferring to UW Milwaukee, where he was a first-team All-Horizon League basketball player. Now, Tiby is currently playing professionally overseas in Turkey, and he will be joining the Iowa United this summer when they play in the basketball tournament. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing well, man. What time is it there?
It's actually what is it? 7:30 right now. I think it's like a 7-hour time difference.
Dang, is that tough to adjust to as far as like communicating with people back home?
Communicating definitely. Reaching out to parents and family, uh, and even friends. It's tough to see what they're doing because I'll be done with my day, but sometimes you'll be texting early in the morning when people are just rising up and getting their day going.
Yeah, it can be a little difficult. Do they ever get a chance to make it out to see you play overseas at all?
Yeah, my family has actually been every year that I've been out here. It's my third year professionally, and they've gone to Hungary, Belgium, and this year in Turkey. So I'm fortunate that my family has come out and supported me throughout the years.
Absolutely. And so just, being from Iowa as well, have you ever been overseas prior to playing professionally overseas?
No, never. My wife actually has been overseas before with her grandma going to France, but for me personally, no, it was never a thought in my head to be going to Europe or anything.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I had no idea I would ever travel overseas, and then my wife actually kind of convinced me to start doing it. And now we go over there a decent amount. So I think it's an interesting thing coming from Iowa. I feel like
Yeah,
people don't typically go overseas. It's more of like you go to Florida or Mexico, or Arizona. Those are kind of your three big trips.
yeah. My family always went to Arizona for spring training for Cubs baseball. My dad's a big fan, and so is my whole family. So we were fortunate to go every spring break to go out there because he was a teacher, so his spring break aligned with mine. So
Perfect.
it was a good time always.
Awesome. And did he coach you at all at Urbandale, or is he not a coach there?
He actually is in the National Basketball Hall of Fame coaching, and he's in the Iowa Basketball Coaching Hall of Fame. He coached my sister in women's basketball at Urbandale, and he also was at Des Moines East and Earlham before that. So just gaining knowledge from him. And my mom was a state runner-up at Des Moines East when she played. So basketball just runs in the family, and my sister's a coach now, and she's trying to give back to what my dad instilled in us. So
Yeah, so basketball, I did not realize. So basketball is basically in your blood, man. You probably grew up always playing the game, watching the game, that kind of thing.
yeah, my earliest moments of basketball. My parents would be like, "Yeah, you're on the bench 2-3 weeks after you're born and everything like that." But the biggest thing is I got like a Arizona Wildcats Lou Olson signed little mini basketball, and
Oh, hell
that
yeah.
really stuck with me. Throughout the whole years, it's just basketball through and through for me.
Were you a Wildcats fan growing up then?
It's like, when you start playing the sport and you start understanding it more, you kind of figure like, okay, these teams are good, this team's not. And it's just more of the mutual respect. Like I would go to Arizona with my family and I'd stay in the hotel room, watch NCAA games the whole time we were there rather than, going outside and enjoying the warm weather. Like, my family thought I was weird in the fact of that, but, I was a basketball nut, just wanted to any way possible to learn the game a little bit more. It was, what I wanted to do.
I love it, man. Yeah, I definitely get that. Big for me, at least, it's college football and NFL football. Whenever there's a game on Saturdays and Sundays, my wife understands that there are no other plans we have. We are watching football the entire time, and now it's kind of spread out to Iowa basketball as well. I mean, she understands now. There's nothing else going on those days, and there are no plans we can make. It's going to happen. I'm going to watch those, and that's it.
Yeah, I understand that. My dad and my family are big Iowa Hawkeye fans. So Saturdays are, for the Hawkeyes, just all sitting together, just watching. And my mom even gets animated for it, yelling to tackle them, make sure that they're not giving up any big plays. So it gets rowdy in our house.
That's hilarious. So your family is Iowa Hawkeye fans. Were you an Iowa Hawkeye fan growing up then, or did you want to play at Iowa? Or kind of what were your thoughts, I guess? This is a broader question. What were your thoughts when you were kind of growing up and playing at Urbandale? Where did you want to go? What was kind of your dream school for basketball?
Honestly, I didn't even want to play basketball in college until my sophomore year. I wanted to play baseball, honestly, and I wanted to go play baseball at Creighton. So, like, that was my favorite sport growing up, and all my friends were playing it. So it was just more enjoyable. My teams were winning more than I was in basketball, like, when I was younger. So I was just, focused on doing that, and I wanted to play baseball. And then, sophomore year, I just got a lot better at basketball than I was at baseball. And I had a conversation with my baseball coach at the time, and he just kind of pushed me to focus on basketball, grind it out, and go get a scholarship that way because he saw the talent that I had off the field. So he just really gave me the help to push from there. And honestly, from that, I just kind of didn't even care if I went to any of the state schools. I just wanted to play basketball after that, no matter. But all I knew is I wanted to play D1 and get that chance to have that one shining moment, as I always watch when you're younger. So for the NCAA tournament. So that was my grind, is just whatever way possible is to get there, I'm gonna get there.
I love, man, and I'm assuming your Urbandale coach was Barton, right? Coach Barton.
Yeah, for baseball it was,
Yep.
but I wasn't playing varsity at the time, so I had Coach Heinen, who's actually the varsity coach, and they just won a state title not too long ago. So
They're crazy good.
Yeah, shout out to them. I mean, Urbandale's always been good at baseball. What made me want to play and further my career in baseball is because we had Jared Norris growing up, and he went to Oregon State, and I was just like, man, if he's going to Oregon State and playing like that, for any young kid at Urbandale, to go out and pursue that, I thought it was like, anything's possible with kids going from Urbandale and making it big.
Yeah, I mean, Urbandale is kind of a hotbed for baseball. I know they went to the Little League World Series a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Had some pretty good teams. I know I played with Jackson Barton, coach, Barton's son.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Urbandale's a hotbed. I think people don't realize Iowa's actually a decent baseball state. I know we play in the summer and stuff, so you don't get as much notoriety, but Iowa has some solid baseball talent. There's been some guys drafted pretty early. So
yeah, I actually graduated in the class of Jake Yasinich, and I followed his career when at Iowa, and when he stole home. That was a big play, and for him to get drafted by the Angels and live out his dream doing that. It was, great to see, Iowa kids that, were in my class to be doing big things. And, baseball is, kind of, you see Beaverdale made it to the Little League World Series.
Yep.
So everyone is kind of just in that realm of wanting to get better and make sure that, they can put Iowa on the map. And I feel like that's, as Iowans, they kind of is just like, everyone's like, yeah, we got to put Iowa on the map, like, but in the good way, not in a negative light. Yeah. It's for us, it's, for Iowans, it's like, if you see someone overseas and you're like, oh, I'm from Iowa, you're like, yes, I love that you're here. Like, it's like a tight knit group of being Iowan. So,
dude, it's a prideful thing. I don't think
it really is.
I live in Colorado now, and I don't think people realize. I mean, do I think Iowa was the best state to grow up in? No, there wasn't a ton of fun things to do, but I have a ton of pride for the state itself. And anytime I don't care if it's Iowa State Cyclones. I don't care what team it is. I'm always rooting for everyone from Iowa. Obviously, I'm very partial to the Iowa Hawkeyes, but I think people don't realize how much pride people have in our state. And I think that's what's really cool about the Iowa United is the fact that we're bringing together 4 schools, and people that are from that state, I think, can really come together and appreciate. You're going to see some great talented players from all 4 of the schools, plus, another Urbandale guy that played at UW Milwaukee. So I think that's pretty exciting. Is that something that you were really drawn to when Matt reached out to you?
Yeah, I was just like in shock and awe that, they wanted to include me on this Iowa team. Just because, I just thought it would just stick to the 4 in-state schools. And, And for me to be even, to get a text and to be on the team, it was like a huge thing for me because it's like, down the line, there's a bunch of great talent that has played in Iowa, and to slim it down to about, eight guys or whatever it is right now. It's, to be one of those eight to represent the state and the schools and everything that goes all along the line. Like, it was amazing.
Absolutely. And kind of touching on the Iowa United, team, who are you most excited to play with from that team? Out of all the guys in the roster, who are you most excited to play with?
I really like Peter Jock. Ever since playing in high school against one another, I never really got the chance to play with him.
Yeah.
In the past summers, we went to the same AAU program. So, I still go work out there with Curtis Stinson. And I always see him in the gym shooting or whatever, coming in and, playing pickup against him. Never on the same team then. So, it's going to be fun to play with him and see his growth throughout the years because, keeping tabs on these guys, you don't really get to catch up on some games. But you get to see highlights of, big moments, big plays and stuff like that from them. So I'm really excited to play with him.
Yeah, he's lighting it up in the G League. Well, he was lighting it up in the G League before obviously the season ended. So he was having a great season there in his sophomore year in the NBA, excuse me. As far as, playing with Peter, did you guys actually ever match up because he went to Valley, you went to Urbandale, but he was more of a guard, but also there's not a lot of height, I feel like, in a lot of Iowa high school basketball teams. So did you guys end up matching up together when you're playing defense?
When we played together, he was still at Roosevelt for his
okay.
I think it was his junior year or something like that. And I was a senior at the time, and obviously I can't remember if you play once or twice against the other conferences, but we played against him the first time at Roosevelt, and he didn't guard me. It was, I can't remember his name. It was like Norman or something like that. His sister was really good at Roosevelt, but he actually guarded me in the sub-state, like quarterfinal game.
Yeah.
And that was like the first time we really matched up against one another. Like, I wasn't quick enough to guard him on defense, but for him to be quick and lanky, he can match up with me. But he made it tough. But I'm just glad that my team pulled through at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And so you mentioned that you're not as quick as Peter Jock, and I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, he's also a shooting guard. You play more of like a power forward, a 4 role typically. However, when I watch your tapes, man, you are quick. I mean, you're pretty quick for a power forward, and you play pretty solid defense. Is that something that you feel like is something that you can add to your game, or kind of a big benefactor of your game? Is that you might not be able to match up with a 1 or a 2, but you're quicker than most 4s, or do you feel like that's an asset to your game?
Yeah, I kind of pride myself on defense, and especially playing with junior college basketball, the up and downs of the game has done wonders for myself, and to keep guards in front of me is a big key of, making it and staying over here overseas, because, you're always going to put in a switch situation, and you always want to make it difficult and, alter their shots. So, any way possible for myself to be a presence on the court, no matter defensively, offensively, hustle, that's what I really pride myself on. And, I can still hear my parents yelling at me in the crowd to just keep on going hard and stuff like that. So, it's more of it's a pride thing for myself.
I love it, man. Yeah, and I noticed when I was looking up some of your stats in the EuroLeague, you're averaging nearly a steal a game, which is pretty decent for a power forward spot.
Yeah, it's just, reading the game, just making sure that I'm a big helper. So, obviously, if you help a lot as a 4-man, 5-man, it don't even matter what position, you're going to get caught sometimes. So, I've been blessed to be put in positions to make plays for my team, and so I'm just ready to carry that over into the summer, and to carry it on for years on to come.
Absolutely, man. So kind of jumping back, we briefly touched on your time at Kirkwood. Coming out of high school, I have two questions about that. You went to Kirkwood. Was there a lot of interest from other places? And kind of what was that decision-making process to go to Kirkwood? Obviously, it worked out. You were able to go play D1 basketball. But were you getting D1 offers prior to that, or kind of what was your thought process? If you don't mind taking me through that.
Honestly, I didn't have so I only played one summer of AAU basketball. Like I said, I was trying to make it in baseball, and then after I moved away from baseball, it was now I'm trying to get myself into an AAU program, and that took some time. And I went to Kingdom Hoops, which Jake Sullivan, the coach, was just like, what, we have a spot on the second team for you to come in and get valuable minutes. Just because you're not on the first team doesn't mean that they're not going to get looks and whatnot. And for me, I was like, I don't care. I just want to go out and play. Like, just want to make sure that I can get school paid for and not have to worry about anything other than that. So I just went in, worked hard, worked myself to the first team. Had some D1 interest, but most of it just fell through. And then a lot of D2 interest. And I just, at the end of the day, I was getting a lot of junior colleges calling for me. And it was like between Kirkwood and DMAC where I wanted to go. And Kirkwood just kind of stuck with me. They were just winning. And, they have a historical program for boys for making it to D1 and everything like that. So I kind of just was like sold on Kirkwood at that point when it came down to it. I just, for myself, I just didn't want to play D2. I know that kind of sounds selfish because anybody would, you got
to have a goal and you got to work for it, man.
Yeah, exactly. So for myself, I just knew I wanted to go to Kirkwood. I knew it was going to take a year of eligibility, but I just kind of wanted to just prove to myself and prove to others that, maybe it was a mistake that I didn't get as many D1 offers as I wanted. I just needed one, and I got it and I ran with it. So
all it takes is one chance, man.
Exactly, and I'm just thankful that Milwaukee. I even told them no, and I went back for a second year, and I went to, I think it's Mullen Showcase Camp, and it's like top 150, top 200 junior college prospects, and you just go and play with pickup. And I ran into the Chad Boudreau, who's also an Iowa guy, who's actually coaching out in Illinois right now at a junior college. My mom and I ran into him, and we're just like, "Oh, you're recruiting Matt again?" He's like, "I'm here to say for him to say yes." So I just love that they had so much faith in me, and even though that I turned them down the first time, that they still wanted me to come back, and that just kind of really stuck with me. So.
Absolutely, man. It worked out pretty well. You started 98 games for UW Milwaukee. You were a first-team All-Horizon player, second-team All-Horizon player your junior season. I believe you were All-Horizon tournament team in your sophomore season. And as we talked about a little bit earlier, you always wanted to have that big moment in the NCAA tournament. You did make one NCAA tournament, I believe, back in 2014. So yeah. What was your experience? And there's a couple of questions I have on this. I think you probably know where I'm going with this eventually. But as far as your basketball career, what was your experience at UW Milwaukee? How do you think that helped you develop your game? And one thing I want to touch on as well is you definitely developed a three-point shot while you were there. You moved from 32% to 37% your senior season. So that was a very broad question, but feel free to answer that however you feel like it.
Going to Milwaukee, it was like a blessing in disguise, because it's like, I'm finally here, but the work's not done, So I was always – I transferred in, and I had a half year to sit out because of the transfer rule. And I kept eligibility by not playing at Kirkwood my second year. So I was just working out that whole second year, and to go in to make an impact for my redshirt sophomore year, it was, amazing. And the run that we had late in the season with all the ups and downs, suspensions that we had, man, we just really pulled it together, and I was really happy for the group of guys, because the year before when I transferred in, we went like 8-24 or something like that, and just had a rough year. And next year everyone's just like, we had all our transfers. We had Steve McWhorter, who sat out from Indiana State, and everyone was just like, this is a special group of guys, and always working together, always working hard, just some gym rats, really. And it came together at the end of the year, and it was beautiful. And to be on the all tournament team, it was, it's just something special. It's just, all that hard work that, sitting out. And for me personally, is just like, do I really want to go through this? Do I want to sit out a year? Do I want to do this? Do I even want to play basketball anymore? Because, it's always something when, you're sitting out is, you question yourself. And I'm sure glad I didn't question myself, and I found some answers by looking in the mirror. And, it was really fun that first year. And then second year, it's like, okay, how to repeat? And, we came in with the news that we had we got suspended by the NCAA for the transfer rule, and like it said academics, but that wasn't even far from the truth. Like we had like a 3.0 team GPA. It was just past players that were trying to make a stand at the coach, and just not good. It wasn't a good look on them, and then it carried on to the team, and unfortunate, but the seniors that they had the chance to move away and they didn't. And, for me, it's just like, man, I'm sticking with these guys. Like my senior year, like it's our last ride together, and, putting me in position to, be in the gym and shoot well, and raising those percentages, like you said, it was, everything that you could imagine for. They gave me the, it's like, you got your driver's license, you got the keys to the car, like, let's learn as we go. And I learned as I went. I really didn't care if I, had any like bumps in the road, scratches, crashes, man, you name it. I had it, ups and downs, like anybody has. But, for them to, stick with me, that was like the biggest thing. It's like they stuck with me throughout, saying no, and my ups and downs of like self-doubt. It's just like, they kept on reassuring me that, we want you, this is what we want to do. And, I racked up a great career there, and, I have all the coaching staff, my teammates, the trainers, everybody. Like I owe it to everybody on that team to push me to become better. So, but my role expanded after the sophomore year. It was relied for me to do more offensively, defensively, rebound, scoring, and just translate into wins. So, to start all 98 games and be able to make an NCAA tournament and be top 5 and scoring and rebounding for D1 history there, man, I couldn't have asked for a better career there. And they really helped me launch my professional career there too.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just need those people to kind of push you through some of those darker times. I feel like people don't realize, but when you're not in the moment or when you're not able to play, it's actually more depressing. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but the light doesn't seem to be there, kind of in a weird way. But I love the analogy of getting the keys to the car, getting the license, and learning how to drive. I started thinking about kind of a side tangent. I hit a stop sign when I was 16. Just apparently don't know how to drive in rain. So good old Iowa driver. But that's funny. So one of the things you talked about was the fact that, it helped you kind of propel your professional career. And now you played 3 seasons overseas. I will honestly admit, I tried to learn how to say your team's names, and maybe I can try it just as kind of a joke, but do you actually know how to say your team's names?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let me try the Turkey one.
Okay.
Demir Ensat Bukamisi.
No. So we have a different sponsor now. It's Arrow University, which is
it's way easier.
big university here, probably like 15 minutes away, not even. And then the city's name, which my wife, her dad works with someone who is from Turkey and gave us like the insight and the details of how to say it before we even went over there. So like everyone was so surprised, but it's called Büyükçekmece. They're
Wow.
C's, there's
Yeah.
C's and A's. It's crazy. It's like Latin and French, like deriven of the language out here. So like it's crazy.
Uchekmache.
Yeah, Büyükçekmece.
Oh, I still can't say it right. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, what has been your favorite experience playing over in Turkey so far?
Favorite? I mean, they got historical teams like Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, Anadolu, Efes. I mean, they got big clubs out here, EuroLeague teams, teams that have been in EuroLeague. They got Euro Cup teams. I think just the big exposure of being out here in Turkey and playing well and playing together is, the biggest thing. Maybe my team hasn't translated, though, playing together well into wins. Everyone's got rough years, but at the end of the day, just going out there and, being a professional and doing your job is, what they asked for. And, I couldn't ask anything else for myself, but the exposure out here is probably the biggest and best thing that I can say for my career.
I love it. And as far as playing European basketball, I know a lot of people who don't really follow European basketball probably don't understand. There's a lot of different nuances to the game. Josh Young just had his, kind of asked 5 questions for the Iowa United last week, and he actually mentioned that the game in Europe is more cerebral than the game over, back in the United States. So, wanted to get your thoughts on what is the game like for you in Europe versus how the game is in the U.S. and kind of was it a big transition for you? I mean, I think personally, you fit kind of the mold of a European forward a little bit more since you can shoot the 3, you can also rebound and stuff. But was that transition hard, and what kind of transition were you making?
The transition was hard because it's a different game. Like it's more like, I wouldn't say it's more slowed down because there's always fast-paced teams, but it's more like it's really a chess match. Like it really is. Like you throw counters, you throw different lineups out there just based on different people that they're starting. You never know. Like last year when I was in Belgium, we had a veteran 4-man also on my team. So me and him were switching off every other game or every 2 games, every 3 games, just depending on the matchup really of who's starting, who's not. And it's kind of a mental game too, because it's like, in America, it's like you're going to put your best 5 out there. Like no matter what, like you're putting your best 5 athletes, players out there. So, for the transitioning wise with that was tough because it's like, it's like, oh, I'm good enough. Like, you signed me, but why am I not starting? But that's something you got to get over. It's just the way it is out here. It's, you're not going to change. Be like, you can't just pout and, just translate into your game too. So that was one big thing. Another big thing is the rules. You can hit it off the rim. You can, it's like, shooting the second free throw and it's just rolling around. You can swipe at it. It was, it's wild because it's like I've never been able to do that before. And now to withhold points from others, like, shoot, I'm going to do everything possible to try to hit that ball. That was one thing. And then the one last thing is like the movements. Like in America, you're like able to use like if your pivot foot is your left foot, so that's planted, and you're jabbing with your right. Usually in America, you can like put your right foot down and then start. It's more of like you have to do a crossover step. So like whatever your pivot foot essentially is, you kind of do like a crossover or you put the ball down real quick so you can lift up your other leg. That's kind of like the biggest thing is just the movements and style of play.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like that last piece would be kind of difficult to get right in your brain, especially because you
Yeah,
grew up playing one way the entire time. And so it's so fundamental. You don't think about it when you're in the post trying to make those moves. And all of a sudden you try to do that. And you're like, well, this isn't what I'm supposed to do at all.
I've been called for a few travels in my day being over here, so I'm just glad I can finally just calm down and just get it right for a few plays.
I love it. Well, hey, man, quick time check. Do you have about 5-10 more minutes left? Is that okay for you?
I got all the time in the world.
Perfect, man. Just want to make sure I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I've literally only got through a few of my questions, and I have a lot of, I think, stuff I'm really interested in hearing about you, and I think the fans will also be interested in hearing about. I want to touch on the hardest one first because the rest of them will be pretty easy, just kind of stuff about basketball. But when I was doing some research on you, obviously, one of the things that kept popping up was your graduation at UW Milwaukee.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and you went on a pretty good rant about the culture and environment there. And I just wanted to get the words from you directly from the source. Kind of what was that all about?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so for me, I was young, but I also was opinionated on the fact that for me, it was like, we sacrificed so much from sitting out, getting grades up when, we had a good team GPA. And for them to shut down our season, twice pretty much, it took a toll on me because, I gave my heart, I gave my all for the, university, and I would think that the university would have my back on playing and extending, my career because after that last buzzer went, it's like, I still want to play for the black and gold in Milwaukee. And it's just like, what more can I do for the university to respect me? And I felt like I was being disrespected into the essence that, like, why aren't you reciprocating my energy? I put so much energy into, creating a culture here that people want to be here. But yet at the end of the day, the season got cut early and short, and it is what it is. I thought I went about it the right way, but sometimes you live and learn, and I was just more frustrated at the fact that I wish the AD respected us more and the team more, and that's the past, and whatever it is, but I still stick by it. I'm glad I didn't walk at graduation. I know it probably hurts my parents and family to not see me walk across the stage, but I had 2 other seniors, my brothers, I would consider them, didn't walk at graduation also, and that's all I really needed is some of the other guys to be like, and there's a lot of people that were in my corner for the most part, but I think I had the bigger platform to go out and reach out and say, this is wrong. Like, why is this wrong? And explain why. And, the way how our coach got fired, learning through the AD texting us in a group chat, it just didn't settle well with me. And I just kind of, I'm the type of person that just, if I got a problem, I'm going to let you know. And maybe I don't go about it in the right ways, which I'm learning throughout the years that I need to be better at. But, it's a constant betterment of myself. And I'm glad that, I went and experienced through that, because now I can help others that have been in my position maybe not react in the same way I did, and maybe have a more instructive way to go about it. But, I'm doubling down on what I said and what I did. So I love the university.
I can appreciate that. I mean, I'll be honest, when I read the tweet, I was like, man, he was really pissed off. There was something really wrong. And I didn't even think about the other stuff. I was thinking more of, man, they must not have many events on campus or just not good enough campus food. So like talking to you and hearing that makes way more sense. And obviously you've matured in that process and understood kind of how how to go about it and what the excuse me, the right way to go about it is. But it makes you feel any better. I mean, walking across the stage wasn't really, I mean, not exactly a highlight of my life.
Yeah.
Per se. I mean, it was cool for my parents, I guess, like you said, but I don't know. I mean, that didn't really mean much in the grand scheme of my life. So, but I think obviously you handled everything pretty much the right way, and I support you now based on what you're saying. I'll go down with you, man.
That was like the half of the story. Like there was way more instances. Like we like shared a gym with the track team, volleyball team, and like swimming, running with track. Like it was just chaos always, and it was just. You know what I'm saying? I was just kind of fed up of, we just got like the short end of the stick of how we were portrayed on campus, how you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm, like I said, I'm doubling down. I don't care. Like I went about it better in more positive manner, but whatever. Like it is what it is. It's out there. It's on the internet. So I'm doubling it down on it.
I love it, man. Yeah, I had to ask you about that. I thought that was really interesting. When you type in, Matt Tiby, that's one of the first things that pops up. And then I kept trying to find different stuff, and it just kept popping up. I was like, well, I think I have to ask about this at this point. So
I'm surprised because it's usually my hair or it's because of the graduation post. So
yeah. I thought that was interesting too. And I was looking at your watching some of your videos and highlight plays in Europe. You definitely didn't look like the same person. Obviously, they don't show up very close. You don't see your face. But I was like, which one? Well, obviously, it's the guy shooting the ball, but that doesn't look like the long-haired guy you see at UW Milwaukee. So what was the decision to obviously get rid of that haircut? Or what was the decision to even grow that hair out like that?
So I got a bunch of hockey friends, and they're beautiful people. Like, I just love them so much. Like, and they just kind of egged me on to grow it out because I've never done it. Like, you see me right now, and like this was like the longest I would get when I was younger and playing baseball in the summer. You don't want long, shaggy hair. No. It's hot. It's uncomfortable. You're sweating too much, and at that time, it's just like when you're young, you're playing sports for whatever outside reasons, maybe to pick up girls or whatever it is. But I just didn't. I never wanted to look like that. I shaved my head always. So they egged me on my freshman year to grow it out, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it, and I just kind of ran with it because for me, it's like, how can I stick out? Like my game's gonna stick out. That's what my mindset was. People are gonna notice me, but how can I get noticed even more outside of just basketball and my game? Hair, beard. Just the essentials of just growing some beautiful locks, and I had a beautiful head of cabbage, man. It was beautiful. So much lettuce up top, so much floppy. Like I was even on a website. They did like the top 10 best hairs in NCAA basketball, and I was like number 4, and like Ron Baker was ahead of me. I was like, what is this? This is terrible.
Oh, that actually sucks, man. Ron Baker's hair was not anything special.
Yeah, that's what. But he got the Bieber. He had the Bieber look, and he nailed it though. Like it's a beautiful look. You just have to be that person to like really rock it, and he did.
Yeah, dang, that's funny. Yeah, no, I mean, I would equate kind of like you had like the Thor like hair. I mean, I don't know if you like Avengers Endgame, but very Thor-like-ish hair.
Yeah, I did. I just saw Endgame, and it was amazing. But the long hair, everyone, especially for Halloween, they're like, "Oh, you should go out as Thor," and I'm just like, "Man, no." But I actually braided my hair for Halloween and went out as Riff Raff because he was big and popular.
Oh, that's awesome! Did you like put fake tattoos on there and like a grill and everything?
No, I didn't do the tattoos. I didn't go that far. I got a big old tattoo on my back now, but other than that, like I didn't have any tattoos at the time. I was clean, long hair, doing the hippie look that the 70s was rolling back in. It was popular during college, so to fit in that, and I kind of led the charge in Milwaukee. I was like one of the few guys to have long hair, and then all of a sudden I had one of my teammates grow out his hair. During the whole year, I had my long hair, and then after that senior year, I encouraged one of my friends because he's like, "Oh, I just got long skater hair," and I was like, "I want to see it." Grew it out for me, and I like cut my hair short to as low as his was to grow it out so we could go through the awkward stage together. And I mean, I was kind of like a big influence on the long hair, and I still would think that I am, but you know,
Yeah, man, you're the trendsetter.
I try to be. I try to be my own person, and my wife loves me for that, and she fell in love with me with long hair. I know she's kind of disappointed with the short hair, but she loves me no matter what. But she fell in love with me when I had long hair at first, so.
Oh man, that must be a big disappointment for her then.
Yeah, it was. She's like, "Why would you cut off the beautiful locks?" And I was like, I'm sorry. It's got. I had bad energy. I could feel energy, like it just unwarranted. I needed to cut it, get a fresh look. So
That's hilarious. Well, man, I have just a few more questions left. First, your verification video for the basketball tournament, you have your cat in it, and it kind of reminded me, it's very Austin Powers Goldmember-esque, as you put in a little dog. I was wondering, did you plan that, or was that just your cat happened to be on your lap, and you're like, well, I'm not going to move him or her?
So we are fostering this cat right now. It lives outside our complex. They have a lot of stray cats and dogs out here in Turkey, but the people are amazing. I mean, I love the people on how well they take it as their own to be like, I'm going to go feed the cats. I'm going to go feed the dogs when, there's dogs sitting outside, corner stores and stuff, and people will go in and buy bread, go buy food for them. And it's just, amazing to see. And my wife, she loves animals. She, her biggest aspirations for when basketball is done is she's like, we got to move to Iowa, get a big old patch of land so we can have our own animal farm and make sure that we can save all the cats and dogs in the pound. I'm like, I'm all for it because I love animals, and she really brought that out of me. So we actually had that black cat, and it wasn't like staged at all. Like the cat just wouldn't leave me alone because she was recording and it wanted to be a part of it. So we're fostering the cat right now because it just gave birth to two small babies. Oakland and Frederick, they're awesome. I love them. They're barely crawling right now. One's got a little hitch in its front paw, but it moves. It trucks along. It's awesome.
Dude, that's really cool. It's funny you talk about having a farm with an animal farm because we have 2 dogs now, both rescues, and I think if my wife had her dream, we'd have about 5 acres and about 15 dogs and whatever we could do for that.
Oh yeah, my wife's goal right now is to get, what is it, the older dogs, like that the hospice dogs, and she's like, we got to get the hospice dogs, and I was like, you're gonna put so much pain on our heart, to spend their last days with us, and then unfortunately having to say goodbye, but it's the quality of life. It's for them to feel loved for their final moments, and for even these cats that we look after, and we look after a bunch, but I mean, we just love animals and love anything about the betterment. We don't agree with PETA, so don't get me started on that, but they're shelters, yeah, just get rid of them. But for the shelters that do the no kill, we're all for it, just prolonging their lives and, making it a mission for themselves to be able to give their love to these animals that may not experience love every single day is, very heartwarming, or whatever it is, like, there we go.
Yeah.
So it just tickles me when people just, love to look out for animals, and, they do a great job as a community out here. And that's one of the most things that I really enjoy out here.
I love it, man. Dude, so real quick, I have to go on this. Adopting hospice dogs and older dogs is one of the most rewarding experiences, and also one of the most painful experiences. We actually did the same thing. We adopted a 9-year-old beagle Springer Spaniel mix a few years back, and ended up passing away after a year and a half. And yeah, it was one of the best. I mean, one of the most incredible dogs, most incredible experiences. But man, that you have to. It's tough. I just want to be very upfront. I think hopefully your wife's listening, but it is one of the toughest things we've ever had to do was when he passed away. So, but it's great for the heart.
Yeah,
it's good for the dogs. They deserve it. But it's tough, man.
It is tough, and it's like, you're thinking about, adding them to the family, and you're just like, you know what, like whatever it is, we're gonna, make it as long as possible for you to live with us and, be able to enjoy life with us. And if it's, a month, 3 days, I think, my wife and I are very willing to take that step into getting that and having that in our lives, because I know for a fact, it would really mean a lot to her, and it, anything that she loves, I love, and or learn to love, because you do sacrifices in relationships.
you gotta do the stuff that they want to do as well.
Exactly, and for her to come out here and help me be stable and live out my life and my dream, and for her to be like my rock out here, it's it's really awesome, and it's a blessing to have her out here, and I'm really glad she can be out here with me to experience this, because at the end of the day, it's one thing when you're experiencing it by yourself, and then you go like tell everyone like, I was in Istanbul or whatever, and it just means a lot more when my wife and I are out here together, and we share these experiences, and we can go back and look back on it and be like, just have some good laughs, good cries, and stuff like that of the amazing moments that we've had being overseas.
Man, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's incredible traveling with my wife, going to places with my wife, and when she's not there, like, this kind of sucks. Like, this is cool. This view's nice, but it'd be really cool if she was here to see it with me. So I 100% get that, man.
Exactly. And it's like when you try to explain things that, they would laugh at or something, it's just like, oh, like, I wish you knew you were here. You would have had this inside joke easily. Like,
yeah.
And, for me, I do a bunch of like one-liners from like Step Brothers, Pineapple Express, like silly movies like that. And like, some of my friends out here, they're just like, what? And I was just like, man, my wife would get this. Like, gosh, where is she?
That's hilarious. Well, speaking of kind of some interesting stuff, this is my last question for you, buddy. Your Twitter name is Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
I'm curious where that came from. Are you a big Star Wars fan?
It's from the artist Suicide Boys. It's their name, and don't do anything that could self-harm, but they're really great artists. I just kind of really like when I heard the song and just read the name, I was just like, yeah, like people have alter egos and stuff like that. And I just, for myself, I've always been like, when I was in college, we were like road warriors. We embraced the villain because no one liked us. Like I was an energetic player and people didn't like that in opposing crowds. So like they would tell me to cut my hair, to do this, do that, like boo me. So I was just like the bad guy. Like I love supervillains. Like I love supervillains like Thanos or Thanos. Like that's who it's awesome. I love what he does. Like he has to play his role and he plays it to a T. Amazing.
Man, you're an interesting guy, Matt.
Oh,
I've really enjoyed this interview. I've never heard anyone say they like supervillains, or be as passionate about their like for supervillains as you. So I can appreciate that. I think
I'm here to not be in the norm. I am unique, and I'm glad that my wife can express, and my family too, because they give me all the power in the world to be who I am. So
I love it, man. Well, is there anything else you would like to add? I think I've taken up an hour of your time, so I don't want to take up too much more. But
fun. Like I can keep going. Like I honestly am just hanging out here. Really ain't got nothing to do. I mean, it's real late, so you know, for if I got to say anything, definitely check out Iowa United. Definitely give everyone a like, a retweet, a favorite. Listen to your podcast.
I love it.
Make sure you're watching the videos, getting amped up. I think this team has a really great chance and has wonderful veteran players along with some young players. Also, I'm really excited to look Nick Bear.
Yeah.
Is that his name? Nicholas Bear. He's exciting. I like him. He's kind of you can kind of look at him on the basketball court and you're just like, I'm gonna go at him, but he responds really well. Like he is surprisingly really like super athletic. Doesn't at the train of the eye, it's just like people will like overlook him, and I think he's gonna do wonders with his career because a lot of people aren't gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, and he moves well. He plays defense phenomenally. Like he's another exciting player. Like he's legit. I'm just gonna keep it at that. He's quite legit.
Man, that's funny. So I'm actually talking to Nick tomorrow morning. Well, by the time this airs, it'll be a week ago because this is gonna air next week. But
Okay.
My wife, I'm hoping he doesn't hear this part of it, but my wife said the same thing. She watched him. We were watching, college basketball and stuff, and she watched a couple of games every once in a while. And she saw Nick running down the court, and she's like, "Who is that kid?" I was like, Nick is one of the best players they've got. Like he is a guy who's going to do literally everything. He's going to get your steals, get your rebounds. He's going to drain threes. I mean, he's a versatile player who can play all over the place. And you're absolutely right. You look at him though, and you're like, that's the kid you're going to target. But you're gonna get burned by it if you keep doing it. So I can respect that as well.
I definitely agree. I've watched a few, highlights of the Iowa games. He's just a glue guy, man. Like you could put him at any position and he's going to work his tail off and give you 100% all the time. Like if I was his teammate, and I would not question a single time when he goes in, like I know he's going to go in and he's going to do damage. Like he's just that type of dude. And especially most of my good friends and went to Iowa, and they're there when he was was he a walk-on or something like that?
Walk-on.
I remember his story correctly. And they're just like they're hype about him. I was just like, and for NCAA, it's like, walk-on, you kind of get pushed to the side. But man, if he did a walk-on, then got a scholarship, man, that he did some damage and did some work, and that just 1 year alone to put him aside and propel his career to Iowa fans giving him standing ovation of, when he last checked out, like that's something special. Like if you're doing something right, if that is happening, I tip my cap to him. That is amazing. And was he from Bettendorf?
I think he's from is he from Bettendorf? It might be Dubuque. Let me check. I'll find out.
For him to come out of Bettendorf, or I think it's Bettendorf, but for him to come out and represent the city well, I think he's got a lot of fans still to come.
It's Bettendorf. Yeah, that's my bad.
Well, no, you're all good. I was just making sure I got my facts right. But I think he's gained a lot of popularity throughout his maybe 5 years. I don't know how many years.
5, yeah. There, I mean, he's a huge addition, I think, to the team, and a guy who people who don't watch Iowa Hawkeye basketball probably don't realize how important he is. I feel like you two could probably bond over that just because I think you're going to be a huge asset to the team. One that people don't realize is going to be a guy who can pull in a ton of rebounds, who's going to play fantastic defense, and you can pop out and shoot the three if you have any big guys kind of covering you. And I think Nick can provide that same type of, scoring prowess with also the defensive skills and whatnot. And I think that's what makes Iowa United a really special team. You have a ton of three-point shooting people, but you also bring that defensive intensity, and you bring guys like yourself, like Nick, who have that chip on their shoulder, who play aggressive, who play with energy at every single time. And that's what I'm most excited about watching with the Iowa United, is seeing that group, your group of guys all come together and to be honest, kick some ass.
Yeah, honestly, that's the only goal, is just to represent the 4 schools in the state well. For the veterans also, we want to represent them well. And, we have some gritty guys, people that, really had come-ups in blossoming years after high school, if it was junior college, if it was walk-on opportunities, if it was getting overlooked by big schools and having to, settle out a mid-major like me, and playing. McGee was out here for a few months and getting to talk to him out in Turkey, and he's just a wonderful guy and can play, can shoot well. And for European basketball, it changes you, because sometimes in America, it's like, I'm gonna get mine. Like, I don't care about my team. My team will be 0-30, and I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna score 20, and it's just like wrong mentalities that some people may have in the States, and then you come out to Europe and you're really humbled by you're scoring 10 points, you get 6 rebounds in 20-some minutes of action, but those 10 points are like the equal to like a 20-point game. In America, those 6 is like a double-double. And like, if you're really like, the biggest thing is being efficient with your minutes. And Bear, he pads the stats, like, but that's just because he hustles. And I can't speak on anybody else because I haven't really watched their game exclusively like him, because I follow Iowa basketball, Iowa football, and all the good things about the state. But I think the European experience and being able, with some of these guys that they put their egos aside, get humbled really quickly, because you'll come out here and nobody knows you, but they know the Turkish big guy that has been playing here, has gone to the NBA, came back, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And they've been drafted or whatever, and that's like all the hype. And then they're just like, who's this American guy? Like, is he going to fit well with our team? Is he going to do this or that? And, it's more the fact, like, you got to like really release yourself to be minded with the team, trying to reach the common goal, which is always being in playoffs. If you're, not fortunate to be on a better team, it's just, not getting relegated to the second division.
Yeah.
And, every place that I've been to, bottom teams, no matter what, there's a bunch of fighters out here, and there's a bunch of good players out here, and the opportunities that some of these young guys, like McGlynn, I think his name,
Nick McGlynn, he's a beast.
Correctly,
he's really a great asset, dude. He's exactly like you and Nick Bayer, man, the hustle guy. Guy who's going to get the 8 boards and 20 points, but he's going to do it the right way.
Exactly. And with a bunch of these guys on the team, they did it the right way. Not to say that others haven't done the right way. Washburn, he graduated in my class, and he goes to a big school in Tennessee, and they kind of just put him on the back burner, which, is silly, because he's a phenomenal athlete, can play and guard. And, if a 5-man gets switched on him, that's one of the people that you don't want to see, because he will literally fight you to the ground.
He can jump through the roof too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's ridiculous how much athleticism that guy has. He's very well talented, and all these guys, all the guys are talented. It's just the matter of fact that they have pieced it together. And, with Jake Sullivan coming in and coaching all of us, I think it will be a great ride to be a part of Iowa United. And I think the fans will get excited after, just the first 5 minutes of the tip off. I think that, if you're not on board, I think you'll get on board. And that's, that's kind of how it is in life. If you're not on board, you better get on, because the bus, the train, plane, whatever, it's going, and you'll get left behind. You'll still be on the tarmac, man.
I love it, man. Well, I'm super excited to watch you guys play. I'm going to try to make it out to some of your games. Hopefully you guys can go pretty far, and I'll be able to watch a few more of those games. But I appreciate you jumping on the show, Matt. Obviously, you gave me a ton of your time, answered a lot of the questions. The cat one, I think, was one of my favorites, and also the school one was just a great one to get some clarification on in general. But I'm excited to watch you play, buddy. Obviously, it'll be fun to watch your team kind of come together. I think you're absolutely right. You hit it spot on with the team that you're kind of bringing together. It's not just guys who want to get theirs. It's guys who wants to play team basketball. And I think Matt did a really great job of putting together a collection of very talented athletes from the four schools plus the state, who can shoot, who can rebound, who want to play defense, that kind of thing. So, Matt, well, thank you again for jumping on the show. Like I said, this will be airing hopefully over the next week or so, especially with your player introduction week. And maybe we'll have you back on right before we jump into the tournament as well to get some of your thoughts on the team.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, shoot, I would be hopefully a welcome guest from here on out. And whatever questions you have, like I've been reiterating, I can talk basketball and whatever for days. It's just it's what my family and I have surrounded our lives to, and really excited and about Iowa United. I thank you for letting me be on the podcast and hearing what I have to say about my cats and everything that is in between. And it was a very fun day. And for the Iowa United, the last thing I'm going to say is that when you play in Iowa, it's just a little bit different. It's a bunch of guys that are going to go to work, and it's hard work. Hot summers, really long winters. Shoot, I heard it was snowing last week, so just safe everybody out there. And summer's coming, and hopefully I can bring some warm weather and some good winds coming here when I get back in a few weeks. But I appreciate everything, and I appreciate you reaching out to me. I just love to be a part of anything Iowa related, and like we said before, it's a pride thing. And shout out to Corver. I mean, that boy really started it for everyone to be like, okay, this small town Pelican can make it. It really gives to all of us.
I love it, man. Well, thank you very much.
Hey,